call the Owatonna City Council meeting to order for Tuesday, November 17th. May we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Rainey.
Here.
Svenby.
Here.
Dodson. Here. Volkerberg.
Here.
Schultz.
Here.
Burbank.
Here.
Abraham.
Here.
And Mayor Kuntz.
Here.
We have all 7 of the council and the mayor present.
Thanks. Please rise and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome everyone here tonight for our council meeting, and we do have one addition to the agenda, which is 3.3.4 Resolution 9315 to authorize advertisement for bids for roof repair at 224 North Cedar Avenue. With that addition, we look for a motion to approve the agenda as so moved. Revised. Motion by Greg Schultz. Do you have a second?
Second.
Second by Brent Svenby. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved. Moving on to public hearing, business subsidy agreement, Bushel Boy Farms, and we'll go to Troy.
Good evening. Bushel Boy Farms is working on an expansion project of their greenhouse, and we are working with them on that. There are some stormwater needs in that area, and much like we did with Viracon in Daikin, we're looking to apply for a business development public infrastructure grant through the Minnesota Department of Employment and Economic Development. Under the state business subsidy law, this does constitute business subsidy, and so therefore a public hearing is required. We do have Ed Cheetah here with Advanced Resources, who's been our consultant for many of these projects, and he can explain a little bit about the business subsidy.
Welcome, Ed.
Welcome. Good evening. As Troy introduced this is very similar to projects that were done with both Daikin and Viracon, where there was a need to meet stormwater retention, and it was handled off-site in what the city calls regional ponds. And this is the same situation here. Currently, Bushel Boy has about 24 acres under glass out there, and they would add another 8 acres of greenhouse space, and this is going to displace quite a bit of water, which will be taken to the south through an easement on county property and then into property that the city owns, where a stormwater retention pond will be built. The estimated cost for this, including the engineering, is about $1,150,000, and in the past, and this program, we're allowed to apply for to the state for what's called a business development infrastructure application. They provide a direct grant to the city up to 50% of the amount of the project cost. So it'd be $575,000 in the city. Whatever the grant ultimately becomes, the city matches that dollar for dollar. And it's possible that when they look at it, their funding is a little bit lower, and they come back and say, well, we're going to give you something less than that. The city would then look at the project and say, well, you match at least up to that, and if need be, maybe engineer it a little differently, maybe not do quite as much. It would be up to the city maybe to make those changes. It would depend on the final grant application. With regard to the business subsidy, all of your economic development projects, when they involve the use of city money, whether it's tax increment financing, as we've done in the past, where there's been abatement or those types of programs, require compliance with city business subsidy policies when it involves job creation and that. In this instance, the proposed project complies with the city business subsidy policy, and basically what that says is that they will create a minimum of 10 jobs. And the jobs, there's a definition in here that you guys say we want to get wages at a percentage of a benchmark that's cited as the quarterly wage index that comes out for all industries in the city. They do in fact comply with that. They are paying wages of what they would estimate for the 10 jobs at $14.75 per hour. That does meet this requirement. as well. A couple other things it says when they sign this, they go into this, they say the company says we're agreeing to continue to operate for at least 5 years in the city. It does have so-called clawback provisions in the event that for some reason that they couldn't operate here. We'd look at that. Also, if they were unable to actually create the jobs, let's say found themselves in a situation where they only created 8 jobs, it does make provision in there that there's allowances in for what I call a clawback, and it's prorated. So the company agrees with that. So how this will work in the end is they will sign a business subsidy agreement, or in other cases we've called them development agreements or whatever, but that's what it comes down to. What we're asking for this evening is a resolution authorizing submission of the grant, and then also not approval of the business subsidy, but we've conducted the hearing on it. The actual business subsidy agreement, we'll only have that signed after the grant is awarded, because then those numbers actually go into that agreement. Okay. And so we would make those changes, and I think Troy would then bring that back just to review it quickly to say, okay, it still complies, and they would ask for a recommendation to sign it. So the hearing tonight is on the business subsidy itself, and then also the resolution to authorize submission of the grant application. Are there questions?
Okay. Kevin.
I don't know if you've got an answer for this, or Troy, but when we're looking at this company with a holding/retention pond, are there green grants available whereas the company could use that water from those ponds to actually use on their tomatoes?
I am not aware of that, and I think it's a very controlled growth cycle, and I think their water is very monitored, and I'm not aware that there's any grants that would help them with that, and it might not even be feasible for them to do that as well. They have not, we've had these discussions with them about the stormwater, and they have not expressed any interest in that water in growing the tomatoes.
Okay, thank you.
No one else?
Les,
Brent?
maybe this is a question for Troy. Troy, is this pond being sized so it can accommodate future development in the area?
Yeah, so this pond, and we've had some discussions about what their future plans are, and so this pond is not only sized to handle what their planned growth is here, but any future expansion to the east or to the south would be accommodated by this as well. So it is taking into account some future areas for development. So in our stormwater plan, we did have this area as a regional pond, much like with the Daikin and Viracon projects. We were able to utilize this grant to get some of our planned regional ponds out in the industrial park. So we're kind of using the same model in this regards here, and this will take in more water than just this project.
Any other questions? Thank you. With that, at 7:09, we'll open up the public hearing for anyone in the audience that wishes to speak on this issue. Seeing none, we'll look for a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Motion by Nate Dotson to close the public hearing. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Jeff Okerberg. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Now it's the council's turn again to ask questions if there are any. What is the council's wishes?
Motion to approve Resolution 89-15.
We have a motion by Dave Burbank to approve Resolution 89-15. Do we have a second to that?
Second.
Second by Greg Schultz. Any further discussion there? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved. Thank you, Ed, for coming here and presenting it.
This will be submitted tomorrow.
Thank you. Moving on to financial report, we'll ask Greg to read the financial report.
Expenditures presented for approval tonight are as follows. Checks over $20,000 are $410,779 to James Brothers for the T-Hanger pavement reconstruction. $61,226 to RDO Trust, of which $88,226 is for a 2016 John Deere backhoe loader, less a $27,000 trade-in. $27,345 to Ritter and Ritter for sewer services, and other expenditures of $256,493, making a total of $755,844.48 being presented for approval tonight.
Thank you, Greg. And what is the council's wishes?
Motion to pay the bills.
We have a motion by Kevin Rainey to pay the bills. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Nate Dotson. Any further discussion there? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved. Moving on to the consent agenda items, which are minutes of council meetings, et cetera, permits, requests, monthly reports, et cetera, all grouped into one motion. What is the council's wishes there?
Motion to approve.
So motion by Brent Svenby to approve. Do you have a second?
Second.
Second by Dave Burbank. Any further discussion there? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved also. Moving down to action items, ordinance number 3-2-1, second reading of proposed ordinance 1315, annex property at 2732 Hoffman Drive, and this will go to Troy.
Now, this is the property owned by Troy and Lisa Johnson, who own a duplex along Hoffman Drive, and property would be placed in a B2 Community Business District. We do already have a agreement with them in order for them to hook up prior to this annexation being completed due to the weather, and we do have an agreement that they would pay the deferred assessments for connecting to the utilities to be paid over a 10-year period at a 3.5% interest. We would owe the township $373.55 for reimbursement under our annexation agreement. So staff would recommend approval of the second reading of the ordinance.
Thank you, Troy. Just questions from the council? What is the council's wishes on this?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Nate Dotson to approve. Do you have a second?
Second.
Second by Kevin Rainey. Any other discussion there? Seeing none, this being an ordinance, ask for roll call.
Councilmember Rainey.
Aye.
Svenby.
Aye.
Dotson.
Aye.
Okaberg.
Aye.
Schultz.
Aye.
Burbank.
Aye.
And Abraham.
Aye.
All 7 ayes.
Thank you. And this being the second reading, this is now approved to proceed. Thank you. 3.2.2, first reading of proposed ordinance 14-15, Chapter 35 sewer rates, and this will go to Kyle.
Good evening. Largely, the rate increase here is proposed to $1 a month for taking over the sanitary sewer service within the right-of-way. We've discussed this in the past, and instead of doing a insurance type program, we're recommending that, and it'll be in the next action, that we take over the sanitary sewer service within the right-of-way, and a lot of the costs of that repair are the street repairs. So, and then a 3% increase to the rate. We're also there's currently a $7 per month charge for new customers until an average can be struck. We're recommending that be increased to $8. And then there are a few that receive sewer services without water services, so there is not a meter. We're recommending that be increased from $12.50 per month to $13.50 per month. With that, I'm able to answer any questions, and staff does recommend approval.
Thank you, Kyle. Any questions from the council? Nate?
Kyle, so I guess if you can clarify, it's probably pertains to the next one more than this, but since you brought it up. So the ownership previously was from the structure to the main.
Correct.
And now we're looking at from the structure to the right-of-way.
Correct.
So you would still own and maintain from the right-of-way, the end of the right-of-way to the structure.
Yes.
So everyone's
yeah.
clear on that you're not covered from the structure to the main with this change.
Right.
And
Still have 30 feet to go. Or whatever.
so, yeah, we're taking on average about 33 feet of the sewer service. but we're probably on repairs, unless it happens to be under a driveway, taking on 80% of the cost. I saw a bill recently that was, $7,500 for a sewer repair, and $6,800 of that was for repairing the street.
Any other questions? Kevin?
If you recall, this kind of got brought up when Mr. Visna had the issue. I happened to run into Mr. Visna last week, told him that this was on the docket for tonight, and his comment all along was, I know that I'm going to have to pay this, but I'm glad to see that in the future it's going to be taken care of through this program. He was very happy to see this come to fruition.
Thank you, Kevin. Any other comments? What is the council's wishes?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Greg Schultz to approve this request. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Brent Svenby. Any other discussion? Seeing none, this also being an ordinance, ask for roll call.
Councilmember Rainey.
Aye.
Svenby.
Aye.
Dodson.
Aye.
Okerberg.
Aye.
Schultz.
Aye.
Burbank.
Aye.
Abraham.
Aye.
All 7 ayes.
And this being the first reading, this will come back in 2 weeks for the second reading. Is that correct, Kyle?
Yep.
Thank you. Moving on down to 2.3, first reading of proposed ordinance 15-15, section 94.079, sewer service ownership. And again, back to Kyle.
And as I previously mentioned, this will actually amend the ordinance so that the ownership of that sewer service within the right-of-way becomes the city's. We do have about 9,500 services. The previously adopted dollar per month will generate about $114,000 per year. We're going to keep, we're unsure of how many per year we're going to have or what the costs may be. So we believe that will cover it based on what we've seen in the past, but we will monitor it and propose adjustments accordingly.
Thank you, Kyle. Questions from the council?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Kevin Rainey to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Dave Burbank. Any further discussion? Again, seeing nothing, this is an ordinance. Ask for roll call.
Councilmember Rainey.
Aye.
Svenby.
Aye.
Dodson.
Aye.
Okerberg.
Aye.
Schultz.
Aye.
Burbank.
Aye.
And Abraham.
Aye.
All 7 ayes.
And this has been approved, and being first reading, will come back in 2 weeks for that one. Moving on to 3.2.4, first reading of proposed ordinance 16-15, section 93.004, repair to broken water services lines, and this is back to Kyle.
You may recall last winter we had two notable water main or water service breaks. So we didn't have a clear ordinance. We did have the right to repair those services under our nuisance ordinance, but this is just clarifying that right to go onto private property. There will be properties that are not covered under OPU's insurance program on the water service lines. So we're just trying to clarify responsibilities. And along with that, we've attached a policy on how we will approach each of these. The one down in Bridge Street, last year we had to make a determination. We had water flowing down the street and ice and public safety concerns, so we had to go in and make the repair and then assess it to the property. It was a vacant property at the time, so staff recommends approval if you am
Thank you,
available
Kyle.
for any questions.
Any questions from the council? What is the council's wishes?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Greg Schultz to approve. Do we have a second to that?
Second.
Second by Jeff Okerberg. Any further discussion there? Seeing none, again being an ordinance, ask for roll call.
Councilmember Rainey.
Aye.
Svenby.
Aye.
Dodson.
Aye.
Okerberg.
Aye.
Schultz.
Aye.
Burbank.
Aye.
Abraham.
Aye.
All 7 ayes.
This has been approved also, and again, the first reading, it will come back in 2 weeks. Moving down to the policy 3.2.4.1, policy to repair the leaky water. I think you've explained it a little bit. We just ask for council's wishes on this.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Greg Schultz to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Nate Dodson. Any further discussion there? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved also. Moving down to resolutions, 3.3.1, Resolution 9015, Owatonna Foundation Grant and Owatonna Softball Association. And I see Tim is here. You would like to present that, or do you want Chris to?
Nope, Tim is going to present.
Thank you.
Good evening. As you know, the dugouts up at the fairgrounds are pretty much, they're not original, they're pretty close to original dugouts. And with the size of those and with continuous repairs of those, the Softball Association made a priority to fundraise for that to make those repairs. The Diamond 4 was done last year, and the Softball Association, who's we work close with, they went out and fundraised $20,000 and then applied for a grant to the foundation for another $15,000, which is included in your packet, to complete the project of Diamonds 1, 2, and 3. And as you can see, 2 and 3 have been started already because the funds had been secured for those prior to this grant. This end result will be a lot more cost effective. We won't have to be going up there repairing tarps, putting tarps up, taking tarps down. It'll be a structure very similar to what's on Diamond 4 currently. So from that standpoint, it's a lot more. And from a safety standpoint as well, the fence was getting bad on those, so everything's been replaced. So we should be pretty set at that facility going forward. Is there any questions?
Thank you. Nate?
Go ahead, Brent. Tim, what type of recognition are you planning on doing for the foundation?
The foundation will have a plaque on each dugout. Yep, that's the requirement of their acceptance of that,
And
of the grant.
What size plaque?
Typically, it's just a, I don't know, 4 by 5.
Okay.
Any other questions?
What's the scope of work that the city will take care of?
The city's pretty much taking care of from the cement up.
Okay.
So they tore everything out. They get in volunteers to do that. And then they get the cement work done. They've had some of that donated by local contractors and paid for the cement work, but we're just doing from the cement up, so the structure itself.
And do we have an estimate on the cost?
It's about $3,000 per dugout.
Okay.
So about $12,000 out of the probably $52,000, so about less than about 12% of the project total cost.
Any other questions? Nate or Kevin?
How does this fall in as far as being able to get this done? And we're also in the process of doing the the JC Park Pavilion. Are they both going to be done in a timely manner?
Yeah, it's been assured to me that it'll be done prior to the spring-summer season. We have until May 1st to get it completed when our season begins, April 30th. So it only takes about one person about 2 weeks to get it done. And the cement work's all been done already, so.
So this will jump ahead of the pavilion, or the pavilion?
The pavilion will be done first.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
sorry.
Okay.
The pavilion will be done first. That's
Okay.
first priority.
Okay.
And then this will be done, but this can be done throughout the winter.
Okay.
During
Okay.
or spring.
And I will say, they also put new dugouts in up at Manthe Park, and someone that's involved with fast pitch, the new way of doing it, it's saving so much labor. The tarps barely, some of them last a half a year depending on if we get a lot of rain. This is a permanent structure, if you will, and it's way more cost effective than the way it used to be done.
Thank you.
Just a comment, Tim. I'd like to extend our appreciation to the foundation for stepping up in this particular project. I couldn't even begin to list the number of things they've helped complete in Owatonna, and it all leads to quality of life issues. And I just wanted to thank them for stepping up again.
Yeah, they've been great too, to the city of Owatonna.
Yeah, I think in addition to that, Dave, is you've got the Softball Association that has with the fundraise to get this done too, so.
Yeah, I'd like to thank Warren Dietz as well. Warren did a lot of the grant writing for this, so I'd like to give him credit as well. He's on the Softball Association board, so.
Thank the people that have put this together, packaged together, and collected the money for doing it. But now we got to approve it. So, Chair will
What happens if we
entertain a
don't?
motion.
They're already tore down.
Chair will entertain a motion. We have a motion by Brent Svenby to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Kevin Rainey. Any further discussion there? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved. Thank you, Tim, for coming out. Moving down to Resolution 91-15, consent to change of control FCC 394, Charter Communications, and this would go to Chris.
Thank you, Les. What we're asking council to consider tonight is approval of resolution consenting to this corporate restructure. Charter Communications is in the process of merging with Time Warner Cable, and as a requirement under the Cable Communications Act, the city needs to approve of this action. We've had our cable attorney, Robert Vos, review this transaction for the city. He's determined that Time Warner is well qualified to operate a cable communication system. Charter is reimbursing the city for all of our costs associated with this transfer. We have some legal fees. In addition, our attorney was able to secure an agreement with them that they would write off or credit any charges associated with converter box charges for city sites. So staff would recommend approval of Resolution 91-15.
Thank you. Questions from the council?
Well, I understand we have a pretty high bar to deny it. I don't think
Yes,
there's
we
any
do.
appetite to do that, but do we have any new information with regard to the franchise agreement?
Funny you would ask me that, because that's what I said to our attorney, like, they're going to ask me. Just to bring you up to speed on it, we've gone back and forth with the most recent proposal. When they brought this to us, we asked again, what's the status? And apparently what we're waiting for is Charter Corporate to provide their comments to our marked up version. So we're waiting on them. So sorry, I have no better news.
Would you anticipate that this will be completed prior to?
I'm
or
hoping that we'll get something before the end of the year.
If it doesn't happen, does that move everything back again?
No, not necessarily. Yeah.
Okay.
They're continuing to provide cable. They're continuing to provide franchise fees, and things are operating as if the agreement was in place. The old agreement. So, I think we're very close to working it out. So.
Any other questions, comments? With that, Chair will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Nate to approve. Do you have a second?
Second.
Second by Kevin Rainey. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved to sign. Moving down to Resolution 92-15, 2016 Wellness Incentive Program, and this will go to Chris.
Thank you. The city is a member of the Southeast Service Cooperative for our health insurance. Being a part of that cooperative allows us to participate in wellness grant dollars. The cooperatives earmark a certain amount of money each year to be used by its members for wellness initiatives. Our share of that amount is $16,230. So we use that for our wellness fair, maybe our incentives for getting a physical, just a number of different programs that we run for our employees. And we would recommend approval. There's no impact to the city's budget for this.
Thank you. Questions, comments? What is the council's wishes?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Greg Schultz to approve. Do you have a second?
Second.
Second by Dave Burbank. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved also. Moving down to 3.3.4, Resolution 93-15 to authorize advertising for bids, roof repair at 224 North Cedar, and this will go to Troy.
Plans and specifications have been prepared for the roof replacement on Bubba's Bar, and staff and the architect both feel that we're right at $100,000. So for over $100,000, we have to follow the bid process, public bid process, and so it might come in under that, but if we follow it, then we know no matter what line of 100,000 it falls on, we're okay. And so we'd like to follow the public bid process. We would plan on advertising it, tomorrow, and then have the bid opening on December 1st, and then bring those to the council meeting on that December 1st council meeting. So all the costs for the project will be split between the EDA and the HRA, and so staff would recommend approval of the resolution authorizing staff to proceed with the public bidding process.
Thank you, Troy. Questions from the council? What is the council's wishes on this?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Nate Dodson to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Jeff Okerberg. Any further discussion there? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved. Now we'll move down to miscellaneous items, 3.6.1, request to defer special assessments, and this will go back to Chris.
Thank you, Les. Our special assessment policy provides for a deferment for those persons who are 65 years of age or older who are retired by virtue of permanent and total disability, as well as another category which would qualify for this deferment. So they also have to meet certain income requirements, and we use the annual income from all sources as established by HUD, Housing and Urban Development. We've reviewed an application that we've received. We reviewed their documentation for income and determined that this individual does meet these necessary requirements. So the budget impacts, there is no monetary loss. The deferment does not waive the assessment, it simply defers it until they no longer meet the requirements or the property is sold or the individual passes away. So staff would recommend approval of the deferment of the special assessment of $5,161.52 for parcel number 17-129-0700.
Thank you, Chris. Any questions from the council?
Motion approved.
We have a motion by Greg Schultz to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Brent Svenby. Any further discussion there? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved also. Moving down to public comment, and if anyone in the audience wishes to speak on any issue not on the agenda, please step forward to the mic and sign in. And we ask you to limit to 2 minutes again, Roger.
Not a problem. I just want to point out a bit of irony with this Bushelboy Farm stormwater retention pond. I probably pointed it out in the past on some other stormwater retention ponds. Government subsidies, very probably government subsidies to drain the Prairie Pothole area, which is what we live in, and now government subsidies to reinstall stormwater retention ponds or prairie potholes. I'd also like to mention that I've talked to Bushelboy in the past about putting a digester to utilize the waste and produce methane gas, but most people aren't even there yet.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, we'll move on to council comment, and we will start with Kevin.
Yeah, a couple things tonight. First, we talked about it after the last meeting. Tim Trolson's here tonight. Tim put together a Archery Park tour. Councilmember Abraham and myself went with that day. Tim did a great job lining up 3 parks for us to go to. I want to thank Tim for doing that. We learned a lot that day.
Yes, we did.
And as we move forward, it answered a lot of questions for us, and we'll have more questions, but thank you for doing that. Second thing I've got is I have received phone calls in regards to the crosswalk area at Oak and School. That is a county road within the city limits. I would like city administrator and city engineer to contact the county, asking that they look at that intersection and come up with some options to make that a safer crossing for kids that are going to and from school. I would much rather be proactive on this than reactive, and so if you could do that, I would appreciate it.
Will do.
Okay,
That's all I had.
thank you. And Brent?
Nothing this evening.
Thank you. Nate?
Just a couple things in light of Tim's project and, well, a couple of Tim's projects he's got going on. I have made the commitment to at least reiterate my feeling on some of those projects. While they are oftentimes beneficial for us to do the work, I would like to see us continue to make sure we've got definitive cost estimates on city labor versus contract labor on some of those projects. Now this one, that's why I asked the question about, what the city labor cost would be on that. So I would like us to continue to try and have cost estimates for those when city labor is used, because there is a cost to that. And have a happy Thanksgiving, because it's almost Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Thank you, Nate. And we move on to Jeff.
Couple of comments. One is have a happy Thanksgiving. Second, Mayor breakfast is at next Thursday?
Thursday morning at the Country Club.
At the Country Club. And also Thursday is lighting of Central Park and the parade. Hope to see everybody out there.
Thank you, Jeff. And Greg.
Just wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. And Dave.
Happy Thanksgiving, and those that are traveling to be on the highway, be safe. And the State Patrol has increased their enforcement on the texting while behind the wheel, so don't be one of their subjects. Don't text when you're driving.
Thank you, Dave. I agree with that. Tom.
I did receive an appreciation card. Tom, thank you for your support for our schools and for the referendum. It's critical the district work with you and the city council to improve the livelihood of Owatonna. Peter Grant.
Thank you, Tom. Anything else? Chris?
Just one thing, we have Coffee with the Council this Saturday at Hy-Vee, starting at 8:30 to 9:30. Come on down and visit with council and myself on any issue. So.
Thank you, Chris. And from my standpoint, I wish everyone a very, very happy Thanksgiving and a safe one. With that, Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Kevin Rainey to adjourn. Do you have a second?
Second.
Second by Nate Dodson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned.